So there's an article that I read in the New Statesman, which is one of the most, I would say, respected political magazines in the UK. And I read the article and I thought, oh my God, the House of Windsor is finished. And I'm going to read you their words and I will leave you to make up your mind about what you think about it. But I think they are saying out loud what many people are thinking. And the title of the article is How the Windsors Betrayed Britain. The title alone is, yeah, this is a title I never thought I'd ever see in connection to the royal family. But let's continue because they are not mincing their words. So on Prince Andrew, they wrote that the call is coming from inside the palace and every single one of us can hear it. They said that Prince Andrew has taken the monarchy and dumped it in an acid bath. Yes, that's what they said. And they said that this was a very important role for which he is well qualified. That is a burn that no amount of aloe vera can ever soothe. And they imagine saying, dumped it in an acid bath. This is how they describe what Andrew has done to the institution that protected him for decades. But here is what makes the article different from other royal coverage, in my opinion. Now, usually at the end of such coverage, they would then write something about the other brother and his wife being the saviors of the monarchy. This article actually says the opposite, and it's truly bad. They're not pretending that the other brother can save the monarchy. They wrote that all the glib fogeyism in the realm will not put the House of Windsor back together again. Things will never be the way they were. So like Humpty Dumpty that had a great fall, all the king's horses and all the king's men cannot put back together the House of Windsor. Basically, they said that the institution that existed before is finished. Now, they did not even spare the king. On King Charles, they were equally brutal. They said that the crown sits on the head of a timid, tragic king. Timid, tragic. Those are the words that the New Statesman is using to describe a reigning monarch. And they noted that at least in the past, unpopular monarchs could at least use the royal prerogative to bribe and bully and intimidate all the elite to fall into line. They even noted that George IV created 57 peers between 1820 and 1830. He had power even if he was hated. They're trying to imply that King Charles, unfortunately, may not have such power anymore. And they're saying, okay, so let's look at King Charles. What does he have to offer? Well, for the people, they say, King Charles III offers yoga classes at Highgrove and tea towels at Balmoral gift shop. And for politicians, he can only provide association with a family which has been tarnished so badly due to their connection with the most prolific PDF in the world. What an alluring offer, not. This is devastating. Yoga classes and associations with pedophile connections. That is what the modern monarchy has to trade. And then they turn back to the other brother again. They said at least the other brother can offer free tickets to the Earthshot Prize Gala. Ouch. Oof. Imagine that. Free tickets to his own vanity project. That is what they think the heir to the throne brings to the table. But the New Statesman, oh no, they're not finished. They go even further. They examine the other brother's behavior since Prince Andrew's scandal intensified last October, and they find it bizarre because this is what they say. They now reference, remember the BBC podcast that the other brother did, where he claimed that his mental health suffered after he was working as an air ambulance pilot. And he said something like, I'm carrying everyone's emotional baggage. The New Statesman's response to that is so withering. I need you to sit down to hear this. They said, obscure references to hidden traumas are a predictable part of the bristling public relations arsenal of a celebrity. We are probably only a few years away from seeing the Prince of Wales on the Stephen Bartlett podcast discussing The Body That Keeps Score with Rylan, Mark Wright and Ramesh Raghunathan. They are basically comparing the heir to the throne with C-list celebrities who appear on every podcast looking for relevance. They are saying that his mental health performance is calculated and transparent and frankly very embarrassing. And then they ask the question that should make every royal watcher pause. They said, what does it tell you about the UK today that some of the highest paid PR professionals in the kingdom are telling their royal client, whose ancestry can be traced back to the Anglo-Saxon times, that affecting misery is the fastest route to relevance? Yes, you heard that. Affecting misery. Affectation. I've always said it's about performance for them. It's about optics for them. And the New Statesman is now laying that bare. They're saying the quiet part out loud. Performing sadness. That is what the other brother's advisors have told him will connect him with the public. A prince supposedly descended from the gods, pretending just to be like everyone else with their therapy speak and trauma. So basically, they're saying he's weaponizing trauma. Now, the New Statesman doesn't think that it's working. They said that the other brother's decision to take up the mantle of depression at a time when direct questions are being asked about the harm done by his family to vulnerable women and girls is frankly puzzling. Again, the way he centered his own depression and sadness rather than the victims. Puzzling, they said. This is all while his uncle is facing investigations for sex trafficking, while women and girls were actively harmed, while children allegedly were harmed. So the other brother talking about his emotional baggage while flying helicopters, it doesn't sit well with many people. And then the New Statesman, they dropped this as well. They said he will be closely watched now. The briefings coming from his camp against both his father and grandmother suggest a crisis, a lack of calm in the heir to the throne that will not be resolved soon. So even they have caught the fact that he's been actively briefing against his dad, against his grandmother, basically throwing everybody to the wolves, throwing everybody under the bus. Yes, he hates his brother. Now he hates his dad. Now he hates his grandmother. Who else does he have left that he likes in that family? Briefings against father, briefings against grandmother, he's the late queen. So yeah, I don't think that, according to what the New Statesman is saying, I don't think that is a man who is ready to save the monarchy. I think what they're trying to do is trying to make him look good by making other people look bad. And that has never been a winning strategy. But anyway, let me know what you think, please, because I've run out of time. And yeah, I might even do a part 2 on this because the article is long. But anyway, my name's Elizabeth. I'm the author of The Luxpreneur. And to support my work in holding truth to power, please grab a copy of my book, The Luxpreneur, from Amazon, Waterstones, or Barnes & Noble, or you can simply buy me a coffee. Yes, go to buymeacoffee.com/Elizabeth Solaru to get me the biggest cup of coffee ever.